What's up, guys? I'm gonna just do a quick video to show you guys my collection rather than photos. If you guys want to follow suit, that'll be cool. I think it's always cool to see everything in motion. So this is in my dining room slash studio space, and I have Conan Fury of the Beast and this Hellboy bust. And then back here is original drawing by Mike Mignola. And these are just some Mondo prints, Game of Thrones, Daniel Danger, some Hellboy stuff. And this is a super underrated piece. I think this thing freaking rocks. Like the first piece I ever bought that like really blew me away, and it still does. It's just massive. There's tons and tons of detail. It's cool. It's just like this giant diorama in the jungle and this awesome battle going on. This is probably like one of the biggest attention getters in my collection. So I didn't used to have statues out here. I eventually moved it out because I started to get too much shit. So, but these are my babies. I actually threw away the boxes for these because I know I'll never sell them. So these are awesome. Okay, this is my main collection slash bedroom slash office. I share this office with my wife and the bedroom, obviously. As you can see, this is it. I'm surrounded by this stuff. My wife is cool enough to let me have it. So here, it's just some more Mondo prints. It's the Ghost in the Shell, just one of my favorite anime movies. It's a Street Fighter print, which I'm a big fan of. Here's some original art pieces by Eric Canet, which I'm a really big fan of. And here's some Street Fighter Soda figures. These actually got me into statues. I started collecting these first. I had like all of the figures at one point, and then I trimmed them down just to the original fighters from Street Fighter 2. And then I started collecting Hot Toys, and then it's all downhill from there, right? Just like I'm sure it's the same story with a lot of you guys. This is my workspace where I do my art. It's my wife's workspace. And then here, I'll start looking at some figures, or statues I should call them. So Batman is one of the first PFs I got. I still really love it. It's very like subtly awesome. I think that it's grown on me over time. You can see here I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan, so I got these really awesome portraits, illustrations that I bought and framed. It goes really well with these comiquettes, which I will also never sell these. It's a big part of my childhood. It's the way that I see them, not the abomination that is the new Ninja Turtles. I don't like that at all. Then more Hellboy figures, which I started collecting these during the same time as Street Fighter stuff. Here's the Ninja Turtle Good Smile figures. These are really awesome. My wife, it's actually one of her favorite things, some of the most favorite things in my collection. So she won't let me sell them ever. So they're there to stay. But those are really fun. Then Boba Fett Mythos, which is freaking rockin'. Beautiful statue. One of the best, I think, ever. Just on detail and everything. Punisher. Super amazing statue, one of the first I ever bought. And with all these statues that I have here, I don't plan on selling any of these. I've bought and sold so much shit already that I've kind of trimmed away all the fat. This is the stuff that I really love. Here's the Dragon's Crown figures. This was a game for PlayStation and for Vita I was a really big fan of. Here's some just fighter girls. Really big fan of these. I grew up liking these girls, these chicks, so collecting them now. More Hellboy, of course, scattered throughout my collection. I think this is one of the best PFs ever. Obviously, I am a bit biased because I love Hellboy so much. I actually got it signed by Mignola. I took it to a convention. Some illustrations, some prints by Mignola again. Here is Iron Man life-size bust. I got a custom decal on the reactor, and I think it looks 1,000 times better. I love this bust. I know like it's not everybody loves it because of they don't like the color of the paint apps, or they're being really picky about like the finishing of the mask itself. But to me, I think this thing rocks. I think it's really impressive. It's always a showstopper for people when they come over. The lights look great. I mean, it feels like Tony Stark is in the room. So a huge fan of this piece. Then over here, I got my Avenger wall. Iron Man comic cat. This is like one of the first statues I really fell in love with. I never owned the Mark 6, so I can't really compare, but I really like this piece. I plan on getting the XM version, so I'm going to compare those two and see which ones I like. Here's the Thor, Modern Thor. This thing is freaking badass. I can't tell you enough how great it is. My wife loves it, and I always gauge sort of the quality of something by her reaction, because she's just looking at it from an artistic standpoint and not necessarily how much she cares about a character. And for me, just the finishing on him is like as good as any statue that I've ever owned or seen. It's really fantastic. Just the head sculpt is great. I do agree that his face looks a little old. I think that the creases and sort of the bulges in some of his face make him look a little old, but the sculpt itself is just fantastic. I just maybe wish they would have made him a little younger, but for me it's not, you know, it's not going to stop me from loving this piece. The pose is great. I think the pose is way better in person. This is Captain America exclusive version. I like the regular switch outs better. It's the way that I saw him growing up. I painted his head sculpt, which I think looks much better. It's much more realistic. And I do it for a living, so yeah, I wouldn't suggest you just paint your $1,000 statue just because, so don't recommend it for everybody. So Captain America is really badass, fantastic statue. I think it's worth all the hype, it's worth the money. The Hulk, what more can I say? This is probably, like, for me, even though I paid aftermarket prices and I paid a lot for it, I kind of don't give a shit. I love this piece. It's freaking awesome. It's one of everybody's favorites when they come and see my collection. It's massive, has great details. It's simple, but like it's really clean sculpt, and it just feels like a real piece of art. It's just, I cannot say enough about it. I don't plan on ever selling him, and I'm not even that big of a Hulk fan. It's just that it's that good of a statue. It doesn't always capture so well in photos and in videos and everything, because there's a lot of subtle shading and just texture to it that's just really, really fantastic. This Black Widow, I love this piece. It's really, really light. It honestly feels like a Barbie doll when you're holding it, but the sculpt itself I think is fantastic. It's the best looking face that I've ever seen on a statue, and I've owned, you know, Miss Marvel and all the other, you know, quote-unquote Grail statues, and this one's as good, if not better than all those. I really, really love it. Then Hawkeye, no matter what you say, I don't think that people are all going to be sold on this piece, but for me, I love it. Even people that come over, some people love it, some people don't like it as much because of the color scheme and how bright purple and blue it is. But for me, it's the way I saw him growing up, and I love it. I think the pose is really badass. I think it's the best Hawkeye pose in a statue. And just the sculpt I think is fantastic. I repainted the head sculpt as well just to make it more realistic. But yeah, I think it fits really well with this display. And down here, these are my absolute favorite pieces of my collection because I'm huge Venom and Carnage fan. These things are friggin' amazing. To me, they're the best statues that have ever been made. I think the detail is insane on it. You can see it's just, this is all over his body. And it's not just, you know, random mark making. This stuff is all, it's just beautifully sculpted, well thought out, and it's just an amazing piece. And same with Carnage. Just such an awesome piece. It's like the perfect representations of these characters to me. I grew up, these guys were always my favorite bad guys, and really characters in general. It's Gambit and Rogue. These are my wife and I's favorite X-Men growing up, so it's pretty cool to get these two together. I got the Pathfinder base, which is really nice base. When you take it out, it's not like, it doesn't blow you away with like quality or anything, but it's done really well, and it works great with the statues. I think at first you're worried that it's going to cover up some of the detail on Gambit, but in reality you still see all of his abs. You can see all the details in his coat, you see his face and everything. It doesn't really obstruct anything, and it looks a lot better than those two giant X bases in your display. I also repainted Rogue's face as well. I didn't just repaint it, but actually sort of restructured a lot of her facial features by not filling out, painting all the way to the actual sculpt. Because to be honest, they're excuse me, the original paint app really sucks on it. I thought it was terrible. She looked like a transvestite or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, it's not on my statue. This thing's super underrated. Sabretooth. I won't lie, the costume itself, the cloth material, it is pajama-like. It covers up a lot of the body sculpt, but, you know, in reality, if you were to wear, unless it's a super tight leotard, you know, you're not going to be able to see all your muscles through your clothes anyways. So for me, it seems realistic, and the parts that are actually sculpted, I think, are some of the best on a statue. I don't love the base, by the way, just because I think it's just like rock and leaves. But the figure itself, I think the head sculpts are just perfect. The mane, the hands, the pose, I think it's really, really badass. Wolverine, I think this thing doesn't get as much love as it deserves. This head sculpt is my favorite. And just the pose, I think, is fantastic. His stature, he's short but powerful. The cloth material, you know, I wish that they used the new material like they do on Batman and Superman PFs, but they didn't have that back then. And to be honest, this is probably one of the better old school materials, and I think it looks great. I have no issues with this statue. I think it's fantastic. I don't plan on ever selling this guy. I've had other Wolverine statues and I sold them all just to keep this one. And of course, this is Doom. This is the one that everybody always talks about. I just recently got this. It's really awesome. It's a very understated pose, and it's contemplative, and it's a great piece. High quality, super heavy. I owned XM Magneto at one time, and it's equally as heavy as that. And I prefer the sculpt on this more than Magneto. I like Magneto's character more. But in the end, I prefer art over just the character, so I also have another Magneto on the way, so from Danny Hines, so that one's gonna do well enough for me. I don't need two Magnetos. So yeah, oh, I also got this custom base from Victor Marin. It's really cool. Alright, let's turn around here. This video's a little longer than I expected, so we're right at the end. Then over here is my mythos wall continuation, because I guess Boba Fett was over there. But Darth Vader, it's really awesome statue. This is probably one of the favorites of guests that come over as well. I think pictures don't do it justice. It always looks overly orange in photos. When you see it in person, I think it's really impactful. It tells a story. Even right now on this camera, it looks really blown out, and it doesn't look like that in person at all. It's a very moody piece. Here's Obi-Wan, awesome statue. Really, man, I'm really disappointed they didn't continue this Mythos line, because I think that it's some of the best stuff they've ever put out. Just the depiction, the face sculpts, just everything, the sculpt, they feel really alive, and they're all telling a story, which is fantastic. And then down here's Darth Maul. This is one of my wife's favorites as well. Love this piece. And it's just my book collection. And I guess that's it. So there's my collection. And please like the video if you like it. And then also, I'd love it for you guys to share your videos as well. This only took, you know, whatever, 15 minutes out of my day, so I think it's pretty cool to see all of our collections in live video and get reactions and comments on our pieces and all that stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching this long video, and have a good weekend, guys.